Namaste and welcome to GAP. Today we are going to discuss about the most viral issue, which is One Nation One Election. Let's see what our today's agenda is. Interesting, today we'll cover about One Nation One Election. Why it was on news. Its history. What is the idea behind One Nation One Election? Challenges, benefits, and way forward. In the end we will also give a brief idea about the Committee of One Nation One Election. So without further delay, as always let's begin our exciting and informational journey. First we will discuss about One Nation One Election. One Nation, One Election is a concept in Indian politics that advocates for synchronizing the schedules of the Lok Sabha, the lower house of India's parliament, and the state legislative assemblies elections. In India, elections are held separately for the Lok Sabha and each of the state legislative assemblies, resulting in frequent electoral cycles. One Nation, One Election is among the critical reforms in the current central government's agenda. In fact, the former President of India, Ram Nath Kovind, in his address to Parliament in January 2018, mentioned this as one of the reforms proposed by the government. One Nation, One Election was the norm in India until 1967. Simultaneous elections were conducted for the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies in 1952, 1957, 1962, and 1967. Why it was on news? On 1st September, the central government set up a panel headed by the former President of India Ram Nath Kovind to explore the feasibility of the One Nation, One Election plan. Later in this video we'll talk about the One Nation One Election Committee. Now, history of One Nation One Election. After the enforcement of the Constitution of 26 January 1950, the first ever general elections to Lok Sabha and all state assemblies were conducted simultaneously in 1951 to 1952. The practice continued into the three subsequent Lok Sabha elections until 1967, after which it was disrupted due to defections and counter-defections between parties. In 1970, the Lok Sabha itself was dissolved ahead of schedule, leading to fresh elections in 1971. Consequently, the first, second and third Lok Sabha were the only ones to enjoy full 5-year terms. The frequent premature dissolutions and extensions of the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies terms led to separate elections for these bodies, disrupting the cycle of simultaneous elections that had been established earlier. What is the idea behind One Nation One Election? The idea behind One Nation, One Election is to synchronize the timing of Lok Sabha and state assembly elections across all states to reduce the frequency of polls throughout the country. This concept was the practice till 1967, but it was disrupted due to various reasons such as defections, dismissals, and dissolutions of government. The cycle was first broken in 1959 after the centre invoked Article 356 to dismiss the then Kerala government. Subsequently, due to defections and counter-defections between parties, several legislative assemblies dissolved post-1960, which eventually led to separate polls for Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Currently, the assembly polls in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha are held together with the Lok Sabha elections. The idea of conducting simultaneous elections was advocated in 1999 by the Law Commission headed by B.P. Jeevan Reddy. Challenges associated with One Nation One Election. Feasibility. According to Articles 83, 2, and 172 of the Constitution, the terms of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies are set at 5 years unless they are dissolved early. However, under certain conditions, such as those described in Article 356, assemblies may be dissolved earlier. Therefore, the One plan raises serious questions in case of collapses mid-tenure. Concept of federalism. The idea One does not blend with the concept of federalism as it is established on the notion that the entire nation is one, contradicting the content of Article 1 which envisages India as a union of states. Dominance of national parties. Critics argue that One Nation, One Election could favor national parties over regional ones. Regional parties play a significant role in Indian politics, and they may see this concept as a threat to their influence. Logistical challenges. Coordinating elections across the entire country, including thousands of constituencies, presents significant logistical challenges. Ensuring that elections are conducted smoothly and fairly on a single day or within a short time frame can strain resources and infrastructure. Legal challenges. The Law Commission headed by Justice B.S. Chauhan reported the simultaneous elections are not feasible within the existing framework of the Constitution. It said that the Constitution, the Representation of the People Act 1951 and the rules of procedure of Lok Sabha and state assemblies would require appropriate amendments to conduct simultaneous polls. The Commission also recommended to receive ratification from at least 50% of the states, which may not be an easy peasy task. What are the benefits if one nation one election is implemented? Reduced cost. Holding elections separately at different times can be expensive, as it requires significant resources for campaigning, security, and administration. Simultaneous elections could reduce these costs. Increased governance focus. Frequent elections can disrupt governance as politicians and government officials often shift their focus towards election-related activities. Simultaneous elections may allow for a more sustained focus on governance and development. Efficient resource allocation. Conducting elections at different times can strain resources and manpower. Simultaneous elections could lead to more efficient allocation of resources. Reduced political polarization. Continuous election cycles can exacerbate political polarization and create an atmosphere of perpetual campaigning. Synchronizing elections might reduce this polarization. Continuity in policy decisions. The Model Code of Conduct, MCC, comes to play just after the elections are announced by the Election Commission, EC. No new policy decisions are taken during elections due to the MCC. Therefore, key policy decisions get delayed both at the center and in the states and local bodies. Voter convenience. Holding multiple elections in quick succession can be tiring for voters. Simultaneous elections might make it more convenient for voters to participate. About One Nation One Election Committee. An 8-member panel has been constituted by the Government of India, which will be headed by former President Ram Nath Kovind, to explore the feasibility of the One Nation, One Election proposal. It aims at holding general and state elections simultaneously. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, former Rajya Sabha Leader of Opposition, LOP, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Jurist Harish Salve, ex-CVC Sanjay Kothari, ex-chairman of Finance Commission N.K. Singh, and former Secretary General of Lok Sabha Subhash C. Kashyap have been appointed are other members of the committee. Finally, way forward of One Nation One Election. Constitutional amendments. Given that India's electoral cycles are currently not synchronized, constitutional amendments would be necessary to align the terms of state legislatures with that of the Lok Sabha. This would require a broad political consensus and a willingness to amend the constitution. Legal framework. Develop a legal and regulatory framework that addresses the logistical and legal challenges of conducting simultaneous elections. This includes setting up clear rules for election schedules, terms, and dispute resolution mechanisms. Phased implementation. Instead of immediately implementing simultaneous elections across the entire country, consider a phased approach. Begin with a few states as pilot projects to test the feasibility and iron out any issues before expanding the concept nationally. Election Commission's role. The Election Commission of India would play a crucial role in overseeing and managing simultaneous elections. Strengthening the capacity and resources of the Election Commission may be necessary. Political consensus. Achieving political consensus among major political parties is essential. Since different parties may have varying interests and concerns, dialogue and negotiation are crucial to move forward. Public awareness and education. Inform and educate the public about the benefits and potential drawbacks of simultaneous elections to ensure they understand the implications of such a change. Electoral reforms. Simultaneous elections should be part of a broader package of electoral reforms, including campaign finance reform, transparency measures, and efforts to reduce the influence of money in politics. Regional considerations. Recognize and respect the diverse political landscape in India, where regional issues and parties are significant. Ensure that the One Nation, One Election concept respects the federal structure of the country. Monitoring and evaluation. Establish mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating the impact of simultaneous elections, including their effects on governance, political stability, and the federal structure of the country. In conclusion, One Nation, One Election is a concept that has the potential to transform India's electoral landscape, but it also poses significant challenges. The way forward should involve careful deliberation, a commitment to democratic principles, and a willingness to address the concerns and interests of all stakeholders. Ultimately, the decision on whether to pursue this concept should reflect the values and aspirations of the Indian people and the nation's commitment to a vibrant and inclusive democracy. So, this brings to the end of today's session. I hope I have been able to make you understand about one nation and one election. If you have any questions for us, you can comment in the comment section or email us. We would be happy to help. Thank you for your time. Stay safe and stay happy.